This is KGW News at noon.
Thank you for joining us today. I'm Brenda Braxton. 24 hours after the FDA fully approved Pfizer's COVID vaccine, health officials are hopeful. More than anything, they want this stamp of approval to translate into less vaccine hesitancy and more people getting their shots. Here's KGW's Pat Doris.
In the Columbia Gorge, the federally recognized nonprofit medical group called One Community Health played a leading role in vaccinating many who live around Hood River and the Dalles. They took part in this federal vaccine effort last June, but roughly 6,300 of their 21,000 patients are still not protected. They know there's a lot of false information still out there with the COVID vaccines, so they are moving fast now after the full FDA approval of Pfizer. So are you folks pushing out a bunch of information today about the FDA?
We will be, yes. We're going to probably text message all of our unvaccinated patients, letting them know that it's been fully approved, and hopefully we'll get some more individuals signed up for the vaccine.
In Woodburn, the Salud Clinic is another federally recognized healthcare provider on the front lines. Dr. Antonio German said FDA approval will open minds and sway some who were undecided about whether to trust the vaccine.
We see a lot of patients that come in that have these questions. And so I think this will give for my providers and for myself and that one-on-one interaction with patients to say, hey, look, the science is there. And now we can really say that today with that full authorization in the FDA and lend support for that.
And to the south, in the Medford area where vaccination rates are low and infection numbers are high, Dr. Dan Weiner said things are so bad there is already a slight uptick in the number of people getting COVID shots. But the issue is now so political, some need an excuse to break away from their friends.
And I think people are looking for their healthcare professional that they trust to give them some excuse, if you will, to say, well, my doctor said I really needed to because X or Y. And it feels like that's having an impact. That's giving them some kind of leverage that they can have within their families.
That was Pat Doris reporting. Now let's recap some of the latest developments regarding COVID. First, we broke another record when it comes to the number of Oregonians hospitalized in the state. There are now 937 of them. The graph there on your screen shows the sharp increase in those numbers. Nurses rallied in Tualatin voicing their concerns about the state forcing vaccinations on healthcare workers. They marched up and down Boones Ferry Road. Governor Brown originally said healthcare workers who didn't get vaccinated would have to be tested for COVID every week. But last week she changed her mind and made those shots mandatory.
It's your body, your choice. People should not be forced into injecting anything into their body that they do not feel comfortable with.
That nurse, who didn't want to say where she works, points out there's already a nursing shortage in the state. The Oregon Nurses Union believes this mandate will lead to some nurses quitting their jobs. Well, here's another major milestone in Portland's road back from the pandemic. The Arlene Schnitzer Concert Hall will welcome an audience for the first time in more than a year. But with the Delta variant spreading fast, theater goers will have to provide their vaccination status to get in. Same is true for shows at the Keller Auditorium and theaters within Hatfield Hall. The audience will need to provide proof of vaccination or a negative COVID test taken within 48 hours of the show. Also, under the governor's current mandate, masks will be required indoors.
We're just making sure that there's a plan in place so that everybody's safe. And seeing audiences walk through the doors for the first time is going to be hugely emotional. I'm going to bring plenty of Kleenex.
I bet you will. So the Schnitz reopens Saturday night with a comedian headlining the show, and then the Keller opens September 28th with Jesus Christ Superstar. Each venue and show may have additional COVID restrictions, so definitely good idea to check before you go. Well, you may have noticed longer wait times at restaurants, or maybe the food you want isn't available because of limited menus. There's a nationwide shortage of certain things, and an Oregon Sonic says it's struggling to keep customers and employees happy. Noah Chast reports from Redmond.
I don't know. I just assume they're having a bad day, really, because it's every day. It's somebody new.
Blade Shockey is the assistant manager at Sonic in Redmond. He says his restaurant, like a lot of places, is understaffed.
My kitchen's down, so if I open up all these stalls, nobody's gonna get their food for ages.
But it's not just an employee shortage.
I'm almost out of big meat. I'm completely out of tater tots right now. Not a drop of tater tots in there. I gotta go get mayonnaise and lettuce. I need to buy more cheese. I'm out of Sprite. I'm completely out of cups. I got no large cups. So yeah, it's a whole lot. It's a whole list. It's a whole list.
He says delivery truck delays are becoming common.
Everything's out of our control. We're just doing what if we don't get a truck, if the truck doesn't come, we don't have the stuff. So, they understand that though most of the time.
Shockey says over the weekend when the store ran out of ice cream, one customer didn't quite understand.
F you, screw off, blah, 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 I'm never coming back here. And then, that kind of rubbed our window lady pretty wrong.
He says the young woman who was yelled at quit the next day. Crew manager Grace Rivers still works at Sonic and has for more than a year. Rivers says she has seen plenty of employees come and go.
There's been a few times customers have been mean, and so a lot of people will leave because the customers or because they just don't want to work or anything.
Rivers said she's had customers curse, grab, and even spit on her.
Just kept trying to think, what did I do wrong? I didn't do anything bad. And I go home later and I start crying because I didn't do anything, and he hurt my hand and spit at me, and I didn't do anything.
Shockey says he normally steps in when an interaction gets aggressive, but really prefers when it doesn't.
I appreciate the people who understand, The people who understand, they're what makes our day, for sure.
That was Noah Chast reporting. Be nice to the fast food workers. It's not their fault. Also today, firefighters working to keep us safe. They evacuate people, they put out fires, but that job is anything but safe for them. The Lane County Sheriff's Office confirmed a firefighter died after an accident. At the time, he was fighting the Gales fire in the Middle Fork complex. A processional brought him from Oak Ridge to River Bend. Dozens of firefighters, first responders, and law enforcement took part. Officials say Lane County Sheriff's deputies are conducting an investigation. No other firefighters or personnel were injured during the incident. According to the National Fire Protection Association, 48 firefighters in the U.S. died in 2019 while on duty. Common hazards can include getting trapped by fire, heat-related illnesses and injuries, inhaling smoke, vehicle-related injuries, and slipping and falling. Well, there are wildfires burning all over the West. And Rod, a lot of the smoke that we're seeing up here comes from southern Oregon.
That is correct. We haven't been overly reporting on fires lately because our cooler weather has, in fact, seemingly calmed things down. Of course, the largest fire, the Bootleg fire, was 100% contained some time back. But look at this complex. The northern part of all these named fires is what's referred to as the Middle Fork complex. And the Skyline Ridge complex is basically the southern half of all these fires. So there's Eugene, there's Roseburg. We're in the Cascades, basically the southern half of the Oregon Cascades. More than 30 named fires make up these two big complexes, including the Jack Fire, which we reported on back around July 5th when it broke out. That fire is still active at just 51% containment. And this is the source of much of the fire, these two complexes, fire smoke that is, that's spreading across Oregon. Now our wind flow is north-northwest, so we've had very little smoke up here in the North Willamette Valley, and I don't see that changing in the coming days. Temperatures are continuing to help firefighters. You go down south to Klamath Falls, it's 70 right now, 67 over in Bend. There's a lot of fires up here still burning in northern Washington, but the air quality's been much improved as those fires have been laying down somewhat. 69 is the temperature in Wenatchee. Air quality, despite all of that, most areas are hanging on with good air quality. You can see the bad stuff down around Medford in southern Oregon. Okay, the forecast is delightful. I will get to that part of my weather story today coming up.
Okay, we'll see you then. Thank you, Rod.